Okay, so today we're doing something a little different here at TLDR Studio. We are not just doing another routine tech update. We're doing an urgent strategic breakdown of a really critical post published recently by Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella on his personal blog. It's titled, "A Frontier Without an Ecosystem is Not Stable." And look, if you're a product manager, a builder, or honestly anyone shaping tech strategy right now, you absolutely need to pay attention to this, because this post fundamentally challenges how most organizations are approaching artificial intelligence today. It forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. Are we actually building defensible value, or are we just racing toward our own obsolescence? Let's dive right into this explainer. Section 1. The globalization warning. To really understand the stakes here, Satya kicks things off with a pretty uncomfortable historical parallel. Think back to the first wave of globalization. As Satya points out, during that era, entire industrial economies were hollowed out by outsourcing. Now, on the surface, the macroeconomic GDP numbers, they look totally fine. But beneath that veneer, the displacement of workers was real, it was permanent, and we're still feeling the consequences of that today. Fast forward to the AI era, and Satya is warning us that we are at serious risk of repeating that exact same invisible mistake. If a small handful of frontier AI models capture all the economic returns, entire industries are going to find their knowledge work commoditized right out from underneath that. Which brings us to, honestly, the most existential question on the board right now: who owns the learning? We've got to snap out of this whole model race mentality. The defining question of the next decade isn't whether you're using the absolute smartest, newest LLM. No, it's about who actually owns the resulting organizational intelligence when the dust settles. Section 2. The paradigm shift. To answer that ownership question, we have to recognize that the old rules of tech just don't apply anymore. Satya introduces what he calls a total mindbender of a concept: the cognitive loop. Unlike past platform shifts where digital systems were simply static tools used by humans, we can now create a genuine dynamic loop. This is a system where human expertise continuously trains the AI, and the AI continuously amplifies that human expertise. It completely changes how we conceptualize work, because human direction is fundamentally required to keep the system moving forward. Enter a brand new term you need to know: token capital. Satya defines this as the proprietary AI capability a firm builds, owns, and most importantly, compounds over time. Every company, he argues, must now build two equal necessary counterparts. You need human capital, the knowledge, judgment, and ingenuity of your people, and you need token capital. So, here is the crucial pivot in how these two interact. In past digital systems, tools just sat there waiting to enhance your human capital. But in AI systems driven by cognitive loops, the whole paradigm flips. Human capital doesn't depreciate as your token capital grows. Actually, scratch that. It becomes exponentially more valuable. Human agency, pattern recognition, ambition, these become the vital drivers. As Satya perfectly phrases it, without human direction, you just have compute running in circles. Section 3, learning is the new IP. All right, so if you're a product builder, here is your actual technical blueprint. Satya outlines exactly how your workflows have to evolve to turn your daily operations into a compounding, hill-climbing machine. Step 1, you've got to run private evals. You must measure if the model is actually improving against your specific business outcomes, not just staring at generic external benchmarks. Step 2, use private reinforcement learning environments so your models grow stronger on real internal traces from your own organization. And step 3, build a queryable institutional memory. This loop literally becomes your new intellectual property. Every improved workflow generates a better training signal, which accelerates your tacit knowledge. If you build this early, you're going to have an advantage that is practically impenetrable, regardless of what flashy new model drops tomorrow. Section 4, the AI's sovereignty test. But how do you know if you're actually doing this right? Well, here is the ultimate acid test for technical founders and product teams. Are you building owned IP, or are you just renting it? Here's the test. A company should be able to swap out the underlying generalist model entirely without losing the company veteran expertise they've built into their system. If you rip out your frontier model and suddenly your company's institutional expertise vanishes, you don't own your IP, you are just renting it. That right there is the key test of control and sovereignty in the era ahead. Section 5, ecosystem over frontier. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the macroeconomic stakes. Satya offers a really stark warning here. He says if all the value is accrued by only a few models, the political economy will simply not tolerate it. There is no societal permission for an AI future that hollows out entire industries. His priority, and the priority he's urging for the entire industry, is building a frontier ecosystem, not just a frontier model. Platforms absolutely have to enable more value on top than they capture inside. Because if we end up in a world where every company cedes all its value to a few massive models that just eat everything they see, it's going to create a politically and economically unstable equilibrium. Section 6. The Builder's Imperative. Okay, so what does this all mean for you today? I want to directly interrogate the product managers and builders watching this explainer right now. Look at your current roadmap and ask yourself, are you actually building a learning loop, or are you just plugging in a model? Are you building true proprietary IP, or are you just acting as a thin API wrapper that adds zero lasting organizational value? Furthermore, are your workflows generating a training signal that compounds? Think about it. Every single time a user interacts with your product, every time an employee makes a domain-specific decision, is it making your token capital demonstrably smarter? If the answer is no, your expertise is slowly but surely being commoditized. And finally, the ultimate competitive urgency check. Are you building something that literally any competitor can copy just by switching to the exact same model you use? If your only advantage is the model itself, you have zero moat, for sure. You must build tacit knowledge systems that are entirely unique to your firm and completely impossible to replicate overnight. Bringing it all together, the core thesis of Satya Nadella's analysis is crystal clear. The future of the firm relies entirely on compounding learning across people and AI. True organizational survival isn't about human capital versus token capital. It's about integrating human agency and token capital into a continuous compounding cycle. I want to close this explainer with Satya's most lingering provocative thought from the whole post. He writes, you can offload a task or even a job, but you can never offload your learning. As you sit down to write your next product spec or review your company's AI strategy, I really want you to think deeply about that. Are you offloading your learning to a rented model, or are you building a compounding loop that will actually secure your organization's future? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer here at TLDR Studio, and I'll see you next time.